Even knowing she shouldn't, she answered it. "What?"
"Do not hang up on me again, Evie. I don't like it."
There was anger in his tone. She was getting totally freaked out. "I don't know who you are or how you got my number, but this isn't funny. Leave me alone." She ended the call and breathed a sigh of relief as she stepped into the gallery. Several friends saw her and waved. She went toward them, grateful for anything to take her mind off what had just happened. Evie would have written it off as nothing more than a slightly obsessed fan of her work, something to be cautious of, but nothing to really worry about. But 2 weeks had gone by since the night of the first phone call, and the mysterious caller wouldn't leave her alone. Furthermore, his actions had escalated. Evie glanced over her shoulder but kept walking down the sidewalk. It was just past 7 in the evening, but it was dark. Night came early in November. But there were other people out and about, so she wasn't alone. Nothing to be afraid of. Breathe. There was no one following her. She hurried up to a building that housed a clothing boutique on the first floor and a bunch of tiny studio apartments on the remaining 2. Evie unlocked the entrance, stepped inside, and pushed the door shut behind her. Thankfully, the lights illuminating the stairs were bright. No one was lurking. No one was waiting for her. She needed to head upstairs to her apartment, but her feet refused to move. There was no safety to be found there. Twice in the past 2 weeks, she'd walked in and found a red rose waiting for her on her bed. The lock hadn't been tampered with, and the windows were undamaged. Then she'd started getting notes. They were short, but to the point. He loved her artwork and wanted her exclusively for himself. There was no doubt whoever her mysterious patron was, he was following her. He not only knew her phone number, he knew where she lived, and somehow he'd found his way into her home. She'd filed a report with the police, but there was really nothing they could do to help her. She had no idea who was leaving the roses. Sure, she knew it was the same man who'd purchased her paintings. There was no one else it could be. But for some reason, Karen at the coffee shop couldn't really give the police a good description of him. Her memories were vague, even though she tried really hard to remember him. Evie couldn't blame her. Karen saw hundreds of people every day. Why would she remember some guy she'd only met once? Brown eyes, brown hair, and well-dressed was the best she could do. That described half the businessmen who went through espresso yourself every day. The nice officer she'd spoken with had told her to change her lock again to make sure she was always aware of her surroundings and to keep her cell phone handy at all times. She'd done all that, even added 2 more locks, but they hadn't made her feel any safer. She was considering moving, though she couldn't really afford to. Evie shifted the tote bag on her shoulder, hitching it higher, and took the stairs one at a time, her boots clicking against the scarred hardwood stair treads. She stopped on the first landing and went down the short hallway to the second door on the right. Her new locks gleamed against the bright blue door. Her keys jingled when she pulled them out of her pocket and unlocked all 3 locks. She opened the door, reached in, and turned on the lights. She could see the entire apartment from the doorway. The tiny kitchenette took up one corner of the room. The daybed took up another. Bookshelves covered one entire wall and housed her small television. The tiny cafe table and 2 red metal chairs sat in front of the lone window. The only other room was the bathroom. Evie stepped inside and shut the door, making sure it was secured before she set her bag down on the floor. She made herself look at her bed and sighed with relief. No red rose waiting for her this time. No note either. She took off her coat and hung it by the door before wandering to the refrigerator. What would she have for supper? She wasn't really hungry, but knew she should eat something. Maybe she'd call for takeout. The Asian restaurant down the road